prophecies, revelations, economic collapse, martial law, social and civil, aliens, human hybrids, Nephilim, the Great Deception, world chaos, tsunamis. You want to stay tuned for special edition End Time Revelations with Pastor Henry Schaefer and Pastor Steve Hall. And welcome to Project SEER, Special Edition End Time Revelation. I'm Pastor Steve Hall, host for the show, and also in the studio with me right now, Pastor Henry Schaefer, the other host. Good to see you, brother.
Glad to be in the studio with you today, Brother Steve.
We've got some interesting things to talk about. Also joining us today is Brother Bill. Good to see you, Brother Bill.
Hey, man, I'm just a neighbor kid that stopped by to play.
Well, right. I'm glad that you stopped by. 3 is a good number.
Amen.
So today we've got a great show lining up for you here. We're going to be talking about deep state, going to use as a backdrop the Kennedy papers that were recently released. I don't know if you've heard about that, but Trump got, 99% of what he wanted, got those papers released. And, man, there is some information in there that is changing everything.
Amen. So
we want to talk about the deep state and how we have been lied to, misled, absolutely American swept under the rug on the assassination of President Kennedy, and man, did they try to hoodoo us up to the time the papers are released?
Amen.
And so there was a lot of other things that came out, but I want to talk about this and just kind of phase it in to what's going on today, because if they did it then,
they'll do it again.
Okay,
that's right.
Do you really think that they only did it one time? This thing is still going on, and you got to wonder what is really happening in our country that they will not tell us about. And that's what we want to talk about today. And also, I want to just give an invitation for you to join us here today. I know there's a lot of people who maybe have caught the wind of what's going on and some of the things that came out in that. So if you've got something you want to share, just call us at that number. It's 335-3130. I was supposed to give my phone number. My own phone number. It's 335-3131. 335-3131. You can call in at any time. We're going to go ahead and get started if you want to, you guys. And let's talk about what have y'all heard? What's the panel heard today that came out during the revelation of the real Kennedy assassination?
Amen. Well, there's fingers being pointed all which way about who done what, and now the papers are coming out and showing the truth, and even to the point where it's shown that the possibility that Hitler was not killed when he said he was killed, and that they found, there's a movie coming out, Finding Hitler, I think is what it's called.
Yep.
But they actually are finding papers in these, or information in these papers that align with the possibility that they lied to us about Hitler being assassinated.
Exactly right. And they have lied to us and continue. I keep telling my church I have 2 rules. Number 1 rule is never trust the government, and number 2 rule is never ever trust the government, because they will give you only what they want you to hear. And on top of all of this, right now, George Soros has given $18 billion to Google. And you know what this $18 billion is about? This $18 billion is about controlling the media that comes out of Google. They already control the liberal media. Don't be mistaken. They control the liberal media. But they're trying to control what comes out of Google, so that when all of these stories are put up on Google and they go to these different avenues from Google, from here to Facebook, from here to there, they want to control it, and they're calling it fake news. But it's true news. That's more true than what you get on CNN, CNBC. It's more true, but they want to be able to control it on the internet. And George Soros is pouring billions in so that he can help manage it and make decisions about what goes on Google and what gets kicked off of Google, who gets censored and who does not get censored. So if you can control the media, You can control the mind of the country. And that's nothing more than what Hitler did. And what every communist leader and socialist leader tries to do, guys. They try to tell the people what they want the people to believe, and the people don't know any different.
And what seems to me to be more dangerous is, as you said, every leader has tried to do that, but they have information, personal information on us. Whereas, in the past it would be they would just try to hit the government issues over this area or whatever. Mm-hmm. But you can be sitting in your house and say something, and the next thing you know, when you're looking at Google or whatever, you'll see that, whatever it was you were just talking about, or you just looked at on the thing. My wife the other day was looking at a ring on Macy's. Lo and behold, I go to my phone and I look at my phone and stuff, and the stuff from Macy's is coming up on my phone.
Advertisement pop-ups.
Yeah. And I mean, if they can do that on something simple like that, if they're wanting something major, whereas, say in the 1940s or whatever, they didn't have that technology to actually do that.
Right.
Now we know they have the technology to do that.
So, one of the things, talking about the Google controlling what Google puts out there, if you, and I think we may have done some shows on this in the past, but if you go there to, if you're first of all saying that, that Google owns YouTube. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's a lot of people who don't know that.
A lot of branches out of Google, that's right.
So we just let you know that, Google owns YouTube. So what happens is that controlling the information that comes through Google, next step is what is out on the on YouTube. Mm-hmm. So there are filters that are put there. So like if you go and you look for the Kennedy files, or you look for Donald Trump, just say Donald Trump.
Right.
If you do Donald Trump on Google, you will find things on Google that is very negative towards our president. Right. You will not get the normal screen that would come up. He's the 45th president, blah blah blah. That's what you would think would be the very first thing that would come up.
Yeah.
But what comes up is every negative story about Donald Trump that's happening right now, and now the screen about the president is probably 10th or 12th on the list. Mm-hmm. But if you go over to Bing, or you find another search engine, then you will do Donald Trump. You will see what comes up is the things about his presidency, maybe even some positive things, or things that are going currently, things like that. And then, of course, you get further down, you get all the negative things as well. So Google has that biased already. And then if you go to YouTube and look at it over there, if it's the same thing, if you do the Donald Trump, you're going to get all the negative type things. You're not going to get none of the positive things at all. So anyone who has a conservative voice, like what we have right now,
exactly.
And I'm gonna tell you something I've been looking at on our channel that we have, Studio WUCC 99.9. That once we get through with this live Facebook here, that you will be able to go to that studio and see it. But I've watched our subscribers and look at the numbers of our subscribers and all, and if your subscriber numbers go up, then you go up in the rankings of on YouTube. Well, they make it so that your numbers rankings don't go up because they don't want you to move up in the rankings. Does that make sense? And I see people continually join, but we don't move up in the rankings because they don't want this voice out there. So anyway, you can see censorship, and that is, when I look at that, Steve, I look at the censorship as well as what happened during the Kennedy files. The Kennedy's time, back in the 60s when all that was going on, they had a much more crude way of censoring, but definitely it was there as well.
Yeah,
at that time.
And so, but they still got all of this documentation on paper, and now that paper's been released,
That's
and the
good
paper is blowing the lid off of the cover-up that the CIA and the FBI were in collusions with one another to cover up the true assassins who were caught and then released.
Yeah.
Did y'all hear that? They were caught. One of the most famous, I forgot the guy's name. You'd have to look him up. One of the most famous shooters or assassins in the world was there and shot the president. I don't know if he shot him from the bridge or from the grassy knoll. We're talking about Kennedy now. And but he was there and got back to the rail car that he actually showed up in and was caught by either the FBI or CIA and caught with the rifle. Caught with the rifle. And they detained him for a little while and let him go.
And that was one of the things that one of the surgeons that declared him dead said that there was a bullet hole in the front of his neck,
right below the Adam's apple,
and someone had done a quick tracheotomy on him to try to cover up that bullet hole,
and it came out the back of his spine.
Yeah,
and then the next one hit him in the left part of his temple and come out the opposite side.
Well, it's just like everybody has seen. Just like what they have done, all the analysis, computer analysis over the years, all their computer analysis was right.
That's right.
Exactly.
It was true. And instead of saying, no, there was only a lone shooter, what have you, no, there had to be multiple.
Right. And that's what when that was going on, they were saying, no, these are those crazy conspiracy guys trying to twist everything around. So they throwed it all off, and the government never changed its stance.
That's right.
No matter what the video showed, no matter what the facts showed.
If you say it long enough, you'll start to believe it.
And everybody started to believe it. And now, if you say it, they say, well, the government just missed it. No, the government intentionally covered this thing up. And what was Oswald? What's his name? The shooter, the one they blamed for shooting, Lee Oswald.
Yeah.
They knew he wasn't the shooter. He was working with the CIA.
Part of the group.
He was part of the group, and they set him up to take the fall.
It's probably like the guy down there in Las Vegas.
Yeah, right. The shooter.
Didn't he work with him? Didn't he work with sometime in the past?
I don't know that.
I think they did. I think they said he worked with the government sometime in the past, and it's kind of like.
So they said could have set him up.
They may have caught him doing something with the coffee.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, okay, we're going to set him up.
I remember when that first shooting first happened, I was talking about the shooting pastor, and I said, well, they got the guy already, and pastor gave me this look like, you really think so?
Yes.
So I started looking, and I was amazed at how many things just wasn't lining up.
Yeah.
And I was telling somebody the other day that I will believe and not believe anything.
Anymore.
Yeah, right. For years, I just took things at face value, what people said. But over the last 5 or 6 years, I got to where I try to find out a little bit deeper than what the surface is.
You got that right. And I'm convinced that President Kennedy was assassinated by the deep state. Mm-hmm. I don't believe that people came in from the outside to do the assassination. I believe that it was orchestrated by the CIA, FBI, that they were behind this whole thing. And this is one of the reasons, because Kennedy had a lot of things he was fixing to reveal to the public.
A lot of stuff.
But here's one of the things he was going to do. He was going to bust Roswell open. He was tired of hearing. You want to jump in on that?
Let me, before you go there, because I already got this, okay? I just got a, from Henry Williamson. He put this up on Facebook Live. So put your comments up there. Go to Henry Schaefer Facebook Live and go there and put your comment up. But what we got here, Henry Williamson, not sure what was released in the Kennedy assassination, but back on August the 8th, 2017, the Lord showed me a Kennedy and a gray alien. And I believe that this was one of the reasons why he was assassinated, because he was going to reveal something about the UFOs.
Exactly. See, I've already heard that.
Yeah, but look at this here. This is pretty good.
This is somebody else already. See, some others are already clued in. And sometimes I refrain from telling my church a lot of things.
Because, we know why.
Because they think I'm a conspiracy nut. Mm-hmm. Okay, when this thing came out last night at church, I said there's some things I hadn't told you that I'm ready to tell you now since these papers come out. And some of the reasons I didn't want you to. I don't want to tell you everything that I think I've figured out or that I've learned from somewhere, but now that it's in the public, I want to share some things with you. So I spent an hour and a half last night showing videos and talking to my people about the deep state and how crooked America is and how we are being fooled as citizens of this country. And we sing a song called God Bless America, and God cannot bless America because of the corruption, because of the lies, the cheating, the child molesters. If you don't know nothing about Pizzagate, you need to open your head and go get into Pizzagate and learn about these high-ranking officials who have their own pedophile ring. They have their own drug cartels, CIA, FBI drug cartels. I'm just telling you.
I'm going to tell you one thing. Let me interject something there about the children and things like that, the pedophiles. I honestly believe that the southern borders, not having a southern border, was a steady. Let's say, I know everybody's got their own reason.
Yeah.
Everybody got their reason why letting all these people in and everything. I'm going to tell you what I think one of the main reasons is: steady flow of people coming into this country, of children that are undocumented. And see, they wouldn't let the adults come.
Yeah.
They just let the children come.
Yeah.
And just get them in here. They call them their dreamers all. They get into and they actually disappear.
Yes.
And they're part of this pedophile Or not only that, but let's take
child sacrifice.
Well, let's take child sacrifice, especially for the time of the gathering, for the Halloween period of Satanism, and all through the year. I mean, it's a steady flow of people who are undocumented into the country. Now you can always say, well, they always want votes. I think that's part of it as well.
Yeah.
But I think it's bigger than that. And I think that, and it could be humans sacrifice, men or women, or children. I think it's a big thing about children.
Now, I don't know where I read it, but this is what I heard. That's documented. 800,000 children disappear every year in the United States of America.
Isn't that amazing?
That was a number. 800,000 disappear, and you don't hear about it.
Right.
And it's just like you said. They're opening doors so that they can use these children for all of this sex trade, all of this sacrifice.
All across the world.
And so, these things have been going on for a long, long time. And I believe that God is now beginning to open our eyes as Americans. So when we pray, we don't just pray this, now lay me down to sleep, bless my four in America. That we say, God, you got to do something for America. You got to get the crookedness, help us get the crooked people out of places of power in politics, and help us move our intelligence agencies away from this deep iniquity that they control the government with. Somebody says, oh, the government's run by the senators and legislators. No. The biggest part of the government is manipulated by secrets that the CIA and the FBI have on all the politicians. And that was started by Hoover. That man rose to power because he knew and had secrets on everybody. It was known that he would hire prostitutes to seduce the senators and the representatives to get them in a certain room, and while they had stuff set and record, and then he used that again. I know, and I'm supposed to tell all this stuff,
and I think that's still going on.
Exactly,
and that's why a lot of them are bailing out now.
That's exactly right.
Getting out of that things up. So let me just tell everybody, you got us on YouTube. I mean, on Facebook. Henry Schaefer. It's over on cwchrist.com or 99.9 Facebook page. Do this here. Share it with everybody. You've got to share this information with everybody. Just say, oh, that's a good video there. No, share it on your friends. Share it to your timeline. Get it everywhere. Get it out there, because what you're going to have to realize is that Facebook is part of the Big Brother as well, and it's a matter of them not letting us go through and put a lot of this stuff out there, out on the web as well, or through social media. It's going to be, you got to use it while you can. You got to use Facebook while you can. You got to use YouTube because it's going to shut down.
You guys are kind of like Trump. You're trying to get the information out, and all these things are coming against you that try to keep you down.
If it was free speech, it'd be something a little different.
Yeah.
But it's not a matter of that. I mean, just try to stand up and try to say something. I mean, you don't have a lot of free speech even in churches.
That's right.
Then your congregation tries to shut you down.
Right.
George Soros is trying to shut it down right now with his $18 billion he's given to Google so that they can decide what is fake news and then keep it off of Google, which keeps it out of our YouTube. It keeps it off of Facebook, and they just kill it at the front. And if they're successful in that, what they've done is taken over the media. They've already got the liberals, so now they're going to take the private side of the news that is true news.
True news.
Okay.
Right.
And when they can control that, then the only news you're going to get is going to be what's used to brainwash you, control you, and that word is called propaganda.
That's right.
That's all you're going to get from the government. So we got to fight. And God is revealing this so the Christians will wake up, because the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they're spiritual. So if we see it, we know how to pray.
That's right.
I know how to pray against evil when I see it.
Yeah.
But if I don't see it, I'm depending on the Lord, praying in tongues and asking God, to direct my prayer that way.
Amen.
But I'm telling you, I'm getting serious about my praying, and I'm getting serious with my congregation. I tell the Johnson Church of God, this is how I pray, and you can pray this way, because evil needs to be captured. It needs to be covered by prayer and destroyed.
Right, I suppose.
Getting back to what you were saying about the children, it's crossing my mind, so I just thought I'll share it. But you look at Donald Trump, and I like Donald Trump. I like the things that he's done. Do I think he's perfect? No, but I do know that he has a Christian background with a mother that was a Christian. I do know he doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, but I also know that he strives very hard to get that wall built. And it just occurs to me that a man with all his money and background, don't you think that he knows about Pizzagate and things like that from a different point of view? That, I mean, he has the money and stuff. Don't you think he's ever been invited to something like that?
Yes.
And I think he knows that it exists.
I agree with
and
you.
he's doing the best he can to stop it.
And I
without
believe the
coming
reason
out
they hate
saying,
him is they don't have anything on him to control him.
right. If
They
he
don't
came
have
out and
any-
said, I'm doing this to stop it, they would say he's nuttier than a fruitcake and a conspiracy theorist.
Right. So I believe he is trying to drain the swamp, but that swamp has got a lot of stoppers. And them stoppers get in that drain and they plug it up because there's so much there and there's so much he has to. I don't believe he realized how deep and how big and how powerful the deep state was. And I believe right now that he is still pushing forward. And that if he has the prayers of God's people, I'm telling you, it can make the difference between success and absolute failure.
Right.
And if we're not willing as Christians to step up to the plate and get into the spiritual fight of this thing and bind the demonic and ask God to send warring angels into our government so that those who are in places of power in politics, and we've elected them there, or they've been appointed there by elected officials, right, that God would move them, get them out, disgrace them. I pray God would publicly disgrace them. If they will not repent and turn from their wicked ways, then I pray that God would publicly open their life up. Everybody can see the corruption and the way they have embezzled from the people of the United States of America and the laws that they passed, the injustice that was in them and the things that they done. I pray it all be exposed. They be disgraced, kicked out of office, and left paupers. They're left with nothing except shame of face.
That's right.
And then let somebody in righteousness that lives righteously take their place.
That's right.
That's the way I pray. I don't pray, oh, God, just, no. I'm praying, God, get them out and put the right ones in.
But there's people that are alive that, has been a lot of born since that time. And they go, man, that stuff all happened in the past. Why are y'all so concerned about what happened in the past? A lot of the people are dead. A lot of things are gone. Why be so concerned about it? No, you know what? It's a pattern of corruption.
That's right.
Exactly.
That you see. And the lies that was told to us as Americans, and what was it? Because we just didn't have an understanding, or was it like you said that we had a president? Now let's do this here. We had a president who was going to reveal a secret. No, I'm not talking about secret information, but information that the public needs to know. For the betterment of the citizenship. And if that's so, like he was almost like he's draining the swamp back then. That if you have a president today who is in the same character, in the same boat as revealing information, then the same threat
Is there.
that Kennedy, that was over Kennedy's head, is the same threat that's over Donald Trump's head, President Donald Trump. Is that, so one of the reasons I would think, hey, I'm going to release this information and about the Kennedy files while I'm in here, because y'all probably never going to get it. If I don't do it while I'm in here, you're probably never going to get it. And the thing is, it also shows y'all the pattern of corruption, because y'all listen to this here. They trying to do the same thing to me. I'm afraid these people are going to do it to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So y'all need to know and be aware of it. And I think he's right on target with that as well.
And I think that's a good analysis. I believe that right now, this Russian collusion charge is being brought against him, and this false dossier that's been presented during the time of Donald Trump's running for and gaining the Republican nomination. All that lies and hypocrisy is there to unseat him, all right, without assassinating him. They want him out of power. And November the 4th is just 2 days away. And now we've got these anti-fascists supposed to be taken to the streets, and they hate Donald Trump, and they hate the Republican Party, and they hate white people, and they hate men, especially white men. Somebody says that's very racist. Well, they saying it themselves.
Yeah.
It is their slogans.
Right.
And they hate the cops, and they hate the police officers, and they hate everything that has to do with justice and fairness and the American way. And I don't know what their end game is or their goal is, but they are isolated from reality, to quote one of our other shows, and they don't know, and they are being driven by demons. And so we'll see what happens. I'm praying nothing happens, and I'm praying that none of them get to portray themselves as martyrs.
That's right.
Because they got shot or someone got hurt because they were doing crazy and stupid things, and somebody retaliated. And that's what some of the medias and some of the places that I've been looking at saying, please don't hurt these people.
Amen.
If they block the road, don't run over them, because then they're going to have the video of it, and then they're going to make a martyr out of this person. And then anybody who says anything against this organization is going to be labeled haters and charged with hate crimes. So they say just be wise.
Amen.
In dealing with them.
Okay, caller, you live and on the air. Got a comment? Got a question?
Got a comment? Good afternoon, Pastor Schaefer, Pastor Hall,
Good
Pastor
afternoon.
George.
Hey.
I tried not to call, but I'm sorry, couldn't help it.
We just got you itching to go to call in, didn't we?
I have no idea. I want to comment on one thing, and it has to do with the comment you just made, Pastor Hall, about people go, why do you want to know? All the people are dead. You know, way back then when Kennedy was assassinated. And one of the specific things, I was alive and I was in the 7th grade. I remember at noontime when the announcement was made by the teacher that the president was dead. Not that he'd been shot, but that he was already dead. That was when we got the word. I was in the 7th grade. And everybody in America was glued to their tiny little televisions. And there was a film that was taken by a person at the motorcade, a bystander. He's very famous now. It's called the Zapruder film, Zapruder. And in that film, I don't know how he did it, but he caught from the right-hand side of the president, he caught the first bullet going in the throat. He caught the second bullet entering the left temple. He caught Jackie Kennedy climbing on the back of the limousine to catch part of the president's skull and brain from the left side. And yet, with that footage, and I do not believe video tampering had been perfected back in 1963, with that video played over and over and over, with parents and children and people in this nation watching it over and over, because it was played continually. And you had a government and the Warren Commission say, no, he was shot from the back from the Texas School Book Depository, when there was not a thing in a video that showed him lurching forward. He grabbed his throat when the first bullet entered. So as a child, I knew, and even as I grew older, and now that I'm old, that has always been something that bothered me, because at that time, America had an innocence. They called the Kennedy administration Camelot. Everybody loved that president. The population loved that president. And it has always haunted me. And the Warren Commission deliberately did not set a time for releasing any documents about the assassination until they were certain that everybody involved was dead.
Yeah, that's exactly right, including a police officer that shot
Oswald.
Yeah.
That's right. Now, the assassination was November 22nd, 1963. This is 2017. They're thinking everybody's dead. Well, not everybody that was alive back then is dead, and I'm one of them. And when I started seeing what was on the release of the assassination papers, everything from the fact that Lee Harvey Oswald was an FBI operative and he was on loan to the CIA, everything that had to do with Kennedy being so against communism, and that's why there was so much information about Hitler and Germany in the assassination papers. I think I heard Alex Jones on the InfoWars channel, and he had a guest named Patrick Kennedy, who has a History Channel show called The Hunt for Hitler. He's about to do his 3rd show, and he when I watched the broadcast, Patrick Kennedy was thanking President Trump for having the documents released because it's totally changed his whole 3rd show. He said there's information in there that we haven't known for 75 years.
Yep.
And
that's amazing, isn't it? And the fact that so many of these conspiracy theorists who were mocked and ridiculed all these years and made fun of now have come out on top of this thing. And I believe there's a lot more things when they reveal, sister, we're going to come out on the right side of also. And the government's going to be found again and again in the next few years, especially to be liars and cover-uppers and deceivers of our day. I mean, they are the charlatans of our day in office.
And I want to add one other thing, and then I'll let you go because I don't want to interfere with this too much. The $18 billion that Soros released to Google, that was among many, many billions he has transferred. And those billions, it was on the independent news media on the Internet. So people, you need to listen up. When Barack Obama gave the Internet, and that includes everything on it, to that foreign conglomerate, they don't believe in free speech.
That's right.
They don't believe in, and it's going to disappear. He has transferred billions 18 of it went to Google. The rest of it is going to Antifa, Black Lives Matter, and similar groups to promote violence and division in this country. That's all I'm going to say. God bless you. I'm listening.
Thank you,
Don't
Sister
stop.
Sandy.
Thank
God
you,
bless
thank you.
Amen. That was a good point she brought up about the internet being given over. You know, we forget about the control of the internet being given over because everything just keeps on going the way it seemed to have been going.
Well, you have nobody really to sue.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who you're going to complain to? A foreign government,
Right.
or a foreign entity? Say, hey, they're not treating us fair. You know, they're. I mean, it's like when YouTube censored our videos. It's like, well, I said there was nothing meant in harm here. I even left a place in comment section at the bottom. They didn't shut the comments off, so anybody with an opposing view could post their opposing view,
That's
and
right.
I didn't censor that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
You never have, yeah.
yeah. So I sent it back to them. They said, well, it still violates our guidelines. I'm going. You see what I mean? That's all they got to say. It violates our guidelines.
That's right.
Or it's
You
not
know?
advertiser friendly.
Exactly.
So they can't advertise on your show because they feel like they'd be that advertisement be associated with something that you said which was negative.
Right.
Or they could miscontrive as being a hate crime. So they say because we can't advertise on the show, we're going to get rid of your show.
We
Yeah.
might need to get Al Gore to invent the internet too.
Right. I got a
Internet
couple.
Plus.
Let me recognize a couple of comments here, and then we're going to do we'll take a break here just for a moment here. It's what does it say here? We got Jen Peterson has said had a dream early this year. Something happened to Trump. I remember being in a White House and seeing that these people were grabbing gold artifacts and covering things in a hurry. I've been praying for him in a dream. Wonder if God is trying to shine the light on some things. Another one is Rodriguez said Kennedy didn't want to bow to Jezebel. That's what happened to him.
Wow.
And so anyway, he wanted to expose the Illuminati. Well, I guess when you look at the another comment that he makes there as well on that. So anyway, so we appreciate your comments. Keep them coming this way here. We're going to put them out there. God bless you. Thank you for listening here. Let's go ahead and do this promo here real quick.
This is Lee Moore of Lee Moore Pool Services, and you're listening to 99.9 WUCC FM. Contact me for all your pool needs at 803-707-2258. Thank you, and God bless.
And I don't know, Brother Lee, if you can help President Trump drain the swamp, but I know you do a good job on them pools. So you get out there and call Trump, see if you can help him get that thing unplugged and get this swamp out
Yeah, he's
of
going to be
here.
closing them up here pretty soon, isn't he?
Yep.
Closing some pools up. I do appreciate him, though. He is a supporter of Project SEER.
Amen.
And it's really supernatural, not just only calling in and praying for us, but financially. He puts it out there and supports
Yep,
us.
we
And God
appreciate
bless
that.
you, Lee, for doing that. And if there would be any others who would like to support the efforts here at the radio station, it's really supernatural is the program I do. Steve's got one here that's in the last days,
Tuesday night.
and you got Reset. That Bill does
Getting
here.
ready to do some new shows for Reset too.
Yeah,
Amen.
and we have other talk shows that are here, and this keeps us on the air. I will encourage you to contact us at 803-335-3131. Say, hey, I want to sew in. I want to get out there on one of those talk shows advertisement. So if you got a business,
Yeah,
this
you can
is the place to
advertise
do
with
it. I mean, we just don't advertise you here, but we'll throw you out in some other things out there and get you doing it as well. You're listening to the Nines, 99.9. We
Yeah, I
dress
like
to the
that.
Nines. We talk to the Nines. You are a part of the Nines.
So, going back to one of the things that kind of kicked this thing off is Kennedy was wanting to roll the top off and let a lot of things out of the bag, let the cats out of the bag. And one of the things was Roswell. Mm-hmm. And from my understanding, he told them, the deep state, I want all the information, I'll make it public. And they said, you can't do that. We won't let you. And he says, I am chief, all right, of military. I am chief commander. And you're either going to do it, I'm going to bring the army down there, and I'll knock your gates down, and I'll come in and look for myself. Mm-hmm. And so he made that public that he was going to get that squared away. But, right before that happened, there you go.
And one of the other things that I was listening to, and I haven't looked at the documents, I don't know what's in there or not, but I was talking about LBJ, that Robert Kennedy was getting ready to bring him to court on some charges of different things, and that he was one of the main people that wanted Kennedy assassinated. If that's true or not, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen the documents, but that was one of the theories that people were putting out there.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things that are out there. When you look at the papers that were out there, one of the things was this a planned event, and that a lot of people already knew it, what was going to happen with Kennedy, because there was an English paper from England that received a report that, hey, in 25 minutes, get your heads up, get your pencils ready to go. There's going to be some big news coming out of the United States. I mean, that's part of the FBI files. Like they're going, this thing was a setup, and someone let the cat out of the bag 25 minutes before it happened. I mean, these are all things that the FBI, this is part of the files.
That's right.
This is part of the things in there. You mean somebody already knew this before it happened? Probably a lot of people knew it before it happened. And them reporters, they got a great big old pencil.
That's
and
right.
they couldn't stop.
Well, and that's one of the things they said about Oswald too, was that the night before he was assassinated, they had gotten warning that he was going to and it was going to be an inside thing that he would be killed the next day. But they said, "Now we got this," and how convenient that we've got this.
Yes, how convenient. We've already got the shooter before he shoots.
Right, and the police officer that he shot was shot with an automatic, and they said that when he was found, he had a pistol on him. So there's just so again, so many things that don't line up.
But that same, I like that "don't line up" line,
Yeah.
because there's so many things about red flags that are going on all across our cities where they have these meetings, and George Soros has bussed the KKK in on the same bus. I mean, there's people who said, yeah, we saw the KKK when they came to town to start the riots, but on the same bus there was Black Lives Matter. They all got off the same bus
That's
and went
right.
and did the riot.
And that's where they get paid from. They get paid out of that big giant slush fund.
So, but why won't anybody on the news stations say and report what is well known among the people who saw it and were eyewitnesses to it? It's all because there is a collusion.
That's right.
There is a cabal that is still going on trying to overthrow the sitting president and the government.
Amen.
And it's real.
As somebody worked in a bank, most of the fraudulent checks and things that I would catch, I probably shouldn't say this because now all the criminals will know, but when a person comes in with a story that's too good and too perfect, as they know every detail, every question you're asking,
Yeah.
that's the ones like you're talking about red flags. That's what goes up is red flags.
When they got all the answers.
Why are they so prepared for this?
Right.
And when you look at the JFK and everything else, it's just like there's so many things that they were so prepared. Everything was just like
They had the answers.
so
before
laid out.
Anybody could think of the question.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly right. Well, what about November 4th, guys? I mean, is this going to be a false flag event? Because they're planning, the anti-fascist movement. They're planning big stuff. But then here comes the United States, and they want to participate how you say that?
CME.
Chromo
mass ejection.
Right from the sun, which would cause blackouts across the country. But, probably more than that, it's going to be from a magnetic
EMP,
yeah, electromagnetic pulse from a warhead. So, but they're going to be at the same time. How coincidental is this?
Right.
Is this planned? Is there
So
something we don't know?
for those who don't know, there's two things that we know of happening this weekend. One of those is Joe's having a birthday. So if you don't know that, Joe's having a birthday. The other thing is the event taking place with Antifa all over the United States. When I say it's going to be select cities,
Right.
this is going to be a group of people who are going to
get publicity.
so they can get publicity. All they got to do is, like they did in the past, is go to the interstate, get out of the cars, and block a whole interstate, and wait till the police to come to remove them. And so it's a protesting against our government, against Donald Trump. Get him out, whatever. He's fascist, whatever. Get him out.
And I would say most of them would be in liberal cities like Chicago.
Yeah, because they're not going to say anything or do anything. Just let them shut the
just
shut
let
the
them do what
interstate
they
down.
want to do. Yep.
Right, and so anyway, that's happening. At the same time, our government is doing, like Steve is saying, a test, and it's supposed to be a test that will simulate a coronal mass ejection from the sun. Like when the sun flares come out, that hits the Earth, and it travels so far, and it envelops the whole Earth and the satellites around it, and it can actually fry all the electronics. Well, I mean, they believe in this and they prepare for it, and that's what they're saying they're preparing for. Only a communication type blackout, and so the military will pick up the communications. They're looking at the radios, the ham operator radios, the civilians, making sure that, hey, let's see what would happen. And they're even talking about maybe in some cities that they would selected cities that they would do an area blackout, turn the power off, just to see how some things will happen. Now, I'm sure they got it all planned out. So I'm telling people, don't freak out, everybody. Your cars are still going to work. Everything is going to work as it should. But when they say it's going to be a coronal mass ejection from the sun, it's what I believe, like Steve is, it's really a belief that North Korea or Russia or somebody could bring a nuclear bomb right over the United States and explode that bomb. It would be the same effect as that sun flare coming would knock out our entire electrical grid.
Yes.
Everything you got would be gone. So they are preparing for these type of scenarios as well. And along with that, happening this weekend, Antifa is pulling their stunts as well in that. So there's a lot of, it's pretty exciting, isn't it, brother?
Yeah, and the thing about Antifa is they have, publicly in front of cameras and made it to the national news said that we're going to kill cops, we're going to shoot police officers, we're going to shoot firemen, we're going to disrupt civil authority as much as we can. And why this is, when the organization comes out in public and declares that, why are they not subjugated to arrest for saying it, for those who said it? And why is there not some big warning coming from the government?
Right.
If you do this, if you even get on the streets and act like you're going to do stuff, we're going to lock you up.
Yeah, it's not like they can't find them, because I had seen a special where they have like a dust almost and it's chips that they can throw on a crowd.
Yep.
And then follow those chips. So it's not like if they do this, they get away scot free, and the government wouldn't know.
So let's tell everybody what that is. So what it is talking about when there's a crowd, the government already is able through from overhead through a what do they call that? Some type of shooting. They shoot out, like a shot,
Right,
like a shotgun.
like a spray.
Yeah, they shoot it out, and it's nothing but computer chips.
Right.
And they're so small that they just land on people's hair.
It'd be
clothes.
like it covered in glitter or something.
Yeah, like covered in glitter. And then when people disperse, because they didn't get them all off of them, they, through tracking, know exactly what people was in that crowd and where that they are at. So that kind of technology is out there, and they do use that as well.
So when Antifa's getting ready to come, you would think the government would be stocking up on that and making them aware of the fact that we have ways of tracking you down, and you're not law-abiding, so we're going to hunt you down and we're going to take care of you. So all that works together and kind of makes, like, why aren't they doing that kind of stuff?
It's easy to solve this problem, but the real problem is there's a shadow government, a dark side of the government, who does not want this problem solved. They're wanting to grow this problem so that the governments of the world and the one world government system can take America over. We're the last standing hope against a one world order, against a one world system. And until they break down the will of the individual in the American society and break down the church and they break down the morals of this country, we'll never be absolved into a international community and surrender our national sovereignty to be part of a bigger idea, a national world sovereignty. So so it's what's happening behind the scenes is so crooked. The ones that will allow it are telling the police, back down, don't do this, and the police are ready to do it. I believe the military's ready to shut this stuff up. It's over and done.
That's right.
Y'all are done. But no, the people that are underneath the government saying, oh no, we need to let this run. We just let it play out. Just see what they do. And that is because they want this animosity. They want this division in America. I'm convinced of this. And they want anarchy to take over America so martial law can take over, so the international government, an international government now, not a national, an international government can come in. The United Nations, they've already got UN trained soldiers in America right now, Chinese and Russian.
Amen.
In America right now,
Amen.
waiting for the call. And somebody says, well, Americans won't shoot Americans. Well, probably most of them won't, but they've already got the soldiers over here that will.
Amen. And there will come a time where Americans will shoot Americans. You know, when Christ is getting ready to turn, Pastor was teaching last night on a one world religion and showing the different things that were taking place and bringing things together for that. And if that will happen, and, the Bible talks about one world government, then it only makes sense that all these things somewhere along the line will happen. Now, do they have to happen in our
Exactly.
lifetime or not? I don't know, but
And I
they
believe
gotta
that,
happen.
I do believe that God gives us heads up and warning so we'll know how to pray and how to act and react. And if we will do things God's way, then God can prolong our time. He can prolong, I believe, the season of grace and the season of mercy. But if we all turn our backs and try to, be like an ostrich who proverbially, but not in reality, puts his head in the sand so that he don't see the lion that's about to eat him and hopes that it just disappears because he's got his head in the sand. If we'll take our head out of the sand and we will get involved and we'll pray God's way with power and authority in the spiritual dimension, then we can make an impact. But we got to see it and believe it before we'll act upon it in faith.
Makes perfect sense.
What do you think about that, Pastor?
It's good stuff. I like it. I mean, I'm going through all the stuff here where it talked about, FBI received a death threat against Oswald the day before he was murdered. When you go in there, the KKK said it had documented proof that Lyndon B. Johnson was a member.
That's right.
At one time, that he was in it. But you got to realize back in those days and earlier than that, I mean, that was a normal thing to be part of KKK. It's not like it is today. You know what I mean? It doesn't have the stigma back then, especially earlier, as it did then. Everybody was involved in that.
But during his time, too, the racial thing was starting to change with Martin Luther King and all that kind of stuff, too. So he wanted to what's the word you look at?
Reinvent.
Reinvent, that's it.
And it talks about how the U.S. government planned to drop leaflets in Cuba encouraging people to kill Fidel Castro for just a couple of cents, pennies. It's pretty amazing the headings that are there. A high-priced Hollywood call girl told the FBI that a private detective was looking into sex parties involving Kennedy. Now these are all in the these are all in the papers,
right?
And all the stuff that they were doing, investigating everything. The CIA wanted to make use of the mafia to take out Castro. So if you got all this stuff going on, the CIA was doing that, and Kennedy was going to reveal that kind of stuff, or wasn't supportive of it. You know what I mean? They're going to go and get him on out of here.
Shadow government is working today just as good and probably more efficiently than ever, and this control of the media is still the same today. And so we got to pray. Number one, we need to learn to pray for our president, for God to protect him and his family, for the vice president, him and his family, so they can drain the swamp and we can see the corruption and get these people out. Get them out.
Amen. You think about your crazy neighbor down the neighborhood and does all these weird things.
You've been down my road too?
If your neighbor would do all these weird things with the little bit of power that they have, just their house or whatever, you got to imagine what people that get up into high power think. I'm going to protect myself. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do, and come up with some of the craziest schemes to try to protect themselves. That's really kind of human nature. But somehow we elevate presidents and everything else like they're so way up here that they would never do that kind of stuff. Exactly. But we would do it in our neighborhood.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we have a wrong mentality about our country. Most Americans are brought up to be, big patriots. We're the right country. We do the right thing. Man, everybody
trust the government.
Trust the government. They're taking care of us. Look how great our economy is. And the whole time,
underneath,
it's a stink pot. It's a sewer underneath the streets.
That's right.
And that's where these politicians live spiritually, is in that sewer. And then they come out of that sewer bright and shiny like an angel, promising this and saying, I'm working on this and you need to trust me so we can get this done. And then they go right back into the sewer with their life.
That's
exactly.
Right.
And go ahead, bro.
I was just going to say, it's like the pervert of the neighborhood. We talk about Pizzagate on here a couple times, and I'm sure that some people are sitting at home saying, these people just absolutely have lost their mind. That kind of stuff doesn't happen. But if it happens down the street with the gym teacher, why wouldn't it happen in government?
Yes, and on a bigger scale.
On a bigger scale with more money.
Yes.
Yeah.
And lots of
Jared from Subway.
Yeah.
He probably was all right until he started getting all that money and making those trips and stuff. Yep. Pastor.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm not sure if we'll ever know the entire truth about the Kennedy files because of what they said they're going to release the rest of them, but some of them are redacted. Pages, some of them are marked out, so you can't read certain things that's on them. I'm going, that's the best part. If you blacked it out, why?
Right.
Why would you release the information that is there
Exactly.
and everything? What are you afraid?
What about the fairness of that? You know, I mean, if I'm getting my name released 50-something years later that I did this or that, why are you blacking out somebody else's name? They did the stuff, you know, they did whatever they did. Maybe they did it for good or they did it for bad. You know, I don't know if they did it for good or bad, but if I'm getting my stuff's getting released, why shouldn't theirs get released right now?
So what's the thing that's really now that we all want to know in current times that we live in? We want to know what happened with Hillary Clinton and her campaign and all their uranium. That's what I would want to know about.
So they need to let me.
That's what I was leading up to.
You need to go to Paul Begley's YouTube channel and go to just type in Clinton Cabal.
Kabal.
C.
Yes, K-A-B-A. Is it no C?
C.
Yeah, C-H-C-A-L?
C. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's C. And
I'm
it's
gonna do it. Let me
Clinton.
do it so I can tell them how to do it. All right.
Go to YouTube. Type in.
Go to YouTube and do it.
Paul Begley.
Hold on a second. I'm going to YouTube.
All right.
And then I'm going to type in. Here we come up.
This is over 2 hours now.
Paul.
But you.
P-A-U-L.
Begley.
Begley. B-E-G-E-L-Y.
L-E-Y, ain't it?
L-E-Y. I did it wrong, didn't I? L-E-Y. And it's going to be Cabal. C-A-B-A-L.
Yep. Hit go.
Let's see what comes up.
Paul Begley Cabal.
Oh, there it is, right
It is
there.
right at the top. Clinton Cabal, America on the brink, Illuminati revealed. And you'll see Hillary Clinton's face. I'll try not to comment on the look, but Hillary Clinton's face on there, and it's over 2 hours, 2 hours and some minutes.
Yeah,
I can't read from
I'm
here.
gonna pop it up here. I got
And
it turned off. Nobody can hear it.
it is awesome. You go to about the 40-minute mark, and you can really start picking up the information. Now, all of it's good. But around the 40-minute plus mark, you're going to start getting into some deep real estate as far as politics, and you're going to get the names, you're going to get their positions, you're going to get what they said, what they did, and it's part of the Clinton cabal. But really, it's not just the Clintons. It's a whole deep state cabal that is running the government the best they can with their lies and their secrets.
Some people turn us off, brother, when we start talking, especially Hillary Clinton and blah, blah, blah,
I know.
I mean, but they just turn it off. And it's, in reality, you realize how unsafe America would be if the election had changed?
Yes.
How unsafe it would have been, and all of this stuff would have just been covered up. Nothing would have been said. And even the FBI informant, was it the FBI informant that they put a gag order? They put a gag order on an FBI informant to be quiet until after the election, not to reveal anything. They said if you don't be quiet about what you know about the deep state, Hillary Clinton, her campaign, and what all has happened, then your future is in jeopardy.
Exactly.
And that's all you got to say. You mean my future's in jeopardy, or what does that mean? You to make it out what you want
Paul
to make it out.
Begley was threatened. They sent somebody from the deep state to tell him he better back up because there's a lot of things he's saying that they don't like, and they're taking special note of him. Well, he didn't back up, and a few weeks later, it might have been a few months later, he was T-boned in an intersection. Did you hear that story?
Yeah, I did. Go ahead and tell it.
He was T-boned in an intersection, got out. He was okay. Miraculously, he was fine. And he got out, got all this guy's information. They came, the police came, everybody took notes, everybody got what they were supposed to do. And then when it was time for the courts and all to settle it, this guy didn't exist that hit him.
Yeah, and the car was registered to somebody else, or it wasn't registered at all.
Yes.
No insurance. It was just like this
Disappeared.
thing just popped up. This car hit me, and who owned it? When they hit him, the man ran. When he T-boned the car, the man that was driving it ran. Isn't that what you heard?
No, what I heard was he came over immediately and he went straight to him and said, "Are you okay?"
That's it. He did. He did do that.
He went straight over him.
But then he disappeared.
And then when he tried to get all the back, he got information.
Right.
The cops let everybody go, and then the man disappeared.
Right. Exactly.
He didn't. He was
Right.
nowhere in anybody's radar. The
Right.
car wasn't on nobody's radar. Nobody's insurance.
Yeah.
So
right.
it was a hit, and he said it was a hit.
And he said he had a meeting with some people too.
And he was warned.
He was warned. He said, "You continue on this," and then he continued on. And he got hit. And
he in this video, man, everybody needs to listen to this video. He in this video, he talks about all the major true news. I call it true news. That's come out on the internet. He let and say all of these have been threatened. All of them has been visited. L.A. Marzulli,
Steve Quayle,
man, Hagman's
Hagman
report.
and Hagman.
But he just goes down the list, and he said, and Lisa Haven, and all of them been visited. All of them been told to shut up, or things can happen.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. So there is a nerve that is now we're touching a nerve in deep state.
But we're pretty small.
News. Yeah, well, not us just in general, but
sometimes that's the one that gives you the most pain is the small.
That's the small one. They're nagging over
there. A little
there.
thorn in the flesh.
A little toothache.
Yeah, and someone would say, well, is that what Project SEER talks about? Project SEER, our mission is a special edition end time revelation. It's to tell you the things that are happening all around us that you're not aware of, that we see, and we put those things out there, whether it be prophecy, whether it be breaking news, or we just kind of put it out there and say, can you not connect the dots in this picture here and see there's something bigger underlying in it?
We're trying to help get the word out that everything is not the way the government's trying to make it appear. And there's so much corruption that God is revealing, and that most major networks are not going to carry. So we're trying to help reveal those things to you so you can make a quality decision about your future, about the future of your church, your life. And so you know how to pray against these spiritual forces that are behind all of this corruption. And then you need to be able to connect some names and faces to the things that are corrupt, so that you're not out there in la-la land speaking gibberish and not knowing anything that's going on. But you get connected to this 2-hour video, you'll get some waking up.
So let's tell them this on this 2-hour video. I'm going to put the link when I get through and I upload it to YouTube. I'm going to put that link in the YouTube description there so someone will have it. But I want to tell you this here. You need to go to that YouTube and you need to pull that video down. Pull it on down. Don't just save the link.
Yep.
Pull it down to your hard drive, because when they start taking these things off the internet, I mean, they took some of our stuff off. It's not there. So there are things, if I didn't have a copy of it, I wouldn't have it. So when they start pulling these videos down that you like, and you say, well, I'll go back to them, you'll find out that link's gone. That video's been taken down, not by the owner, but by the owner of YouTube took them down.
That's a good thing for you to say that, because I have noticed that there'll be gaps that I can't find. I just assume you weren't doing it.
Got to land it quick.
Well, I appreciate everybody listening out for us today on the SEER program. Hope you've been awakened to some things that are going on that's in your world. We backed up to Kennedy's world, but now we're bringing it to your world, and we want you to know what's going on. Be informed, be in prayer. God bless you.
All right, brother, go ahead and
be
do
ready, getting ready to go. The Lord's coming back, and that's what it's all about, getting ready to go.
All right, so I'm going to do my best to stop all this stuff that's running here, get all that done, and then I got to do my exiting. God bless you. You've been listening to the Nines. I've been your host, Henry Schaefer here, and we're going to exit right here. See if we can do that right here. Thank you for tuning in today. We've been your host, Henry Schaefer and Steve Hall. The end times are here. Anything is possible. Are you ready? Don't miss the next episode of Special Edition End Time Revelation.